I think artificial intelligence is programmed intelligence. Some guy in an office has put it together.
Automation and AI have a huge part in our society.
The changes have been quite drastic, they've been quite fundamental. We don't necessarily know what is to come.
I don't think robots are going to be able to create in the way that a human creates.
There's a lot of things that we do on a daily basis that just can't be automated. To empathise, to love, to care. That's what makes us human.
The job is your opportunity to provide for the people that you love.
They're advancing at such a rapid pace that they're going to start to affect our daily lives.
My job could be done by a robot.
A robot couldn't do my job. No.
We can't be ignorant of them. We have to embrace them and we have to adapt, because otherwise we'll be just left behind.
I left Ireland to work as a journalist in London almost 10 years ago. Over that time, I've witnessed firsthand the enormous impact that technology has had on the workplace.
I am the UK editor for Mashable, a media and entertainment company. We do a lot of reporting around science, entertainment, technology and social media. My role as an editor is to lead a team of journalists here in the London office. Technology is just part and parcel of everything that we do. So you're constantly in this living, breathing thing that is pivoting at every given moment. I'd love to say that I would never be replaced by a robot. I think a robot could do certain aspects of my job, like checking the spellings of things. Then there are nuances to language and tone that I think a robot would still have limitations in delivering. I've worked hard for this job. I don't want to just hand it over to a robot. It's such a big part of who I am. And so the idea of some robot coming along and just like willy-nilly being able to swan in and suddenly take it over would be absolutely heartbreaking.
In the everyday of our working lives, automation can be seen all around us. Artificial intelligence are machines that work and react like humans. Since AI came into its own a number of years ago, robots are ever present in our lives, often in hidden ways. From the algorithms ordering our Facebook feeds to the apps we use on our smartphones. Machines have been developed beyond all recognition. They're now capable of not just merely constructing vehicles, but of driving them autonomously, diagnosing illness, and even understanding human emotions. It's estimated that nearly half of all US jobs will be automated in the next 20 years. As the pace of this change accelerates, I'd like to find out if we are really facing a future where machines will take our jobs.
Do you think a robot could ever do your job?
I'm sure robot cars will work, driverless cars can work, but I still don't believe they can be 100% safe. Even if you're using a phone, if you use your phone, how many times does your phone freeze? Because it's a computer. So the same thing can happen with a driverless car, I reckon, you know. And again, in my job, obviously there's a personal touch. A robot is not going to help people put bags in the boot of the car.
Children who are born today have a 50% chance of living to 100. Their future in the workplace will be defined by a technological revolution.
Seeing newborn babies never gets old. You know, that miracle of how human beings can produce such a complex little being. Thinking about all of the things they're going to do when they get out there in the world, things that they're going to absorb. It's phenomenal, really. How complex the human mind is, how intelligent these little creatures already are. It's amazing to think that these little children are going to go out into that big bad world and they're going to get jobs that don't even exist yet.
Technology has now moved to the point where machines can do very complex tasks, that were once the preserve of humans. Today, in a Dublin hospital, a cancer patient is undergoing surgery to remove his prostate.
So, but I'll ring you when we're finished, and just let you know how everything's gone. Yeah.
The procedure is being carried out by a robot.
So Gerd, can you just tell us a little bit about the procedure you're going to have today?
Dr. Flynn explained to me that the big difference between the robotic and the traditional procedure is that the robotic, there will be just 5 small little holes, and the recovery period will be much faster because of that.
So it's less invasive?
Less invasive, yeah. I should be mobile pretty much the next day.
And how do you feel about the idea that a robot is carrying out this operation?
I suppose I trust engineering in general. I'm an engineer myself. I'm very confident about it.
Do you think you'd feel differently about it if there was no human involved, like the idea of a robot doing this completely on its own?
I think I would, yes. But in time, that's probably the way it's going to be.
So as a surgeon, can you see a day where artificial intelligence will eventually replace you, the human, in the equation?
I don't think so. I think it'll certainly facilitate what we do, and I think things like augmented reality will make a difference. But there's such variation and variability within the human anatomy and the human body that I think there will always be a role for human intervention.
It was quite incredible watching this robot, which to me looked like almost like an octopus coming in with all of these tentacles. To see the level of precision with which the robot was operating. Would this be considered a serious operation?
It's major surgery, but quite common. There are about 3,500 men diagnosed with prostate cancer in Ireland each year, and a good percentage of those go on to have surgery.
Just looking at the screen, you could see 4 different utensils, just making tiny little incisions, all under the instruction of the team of doctors and surgeons who were in there. But it was quite clear that the robot was the tool, the real brain or the real intelligence was all of the humans in the room. With artificial intelligence, I wonder, would we ever have a day where that robot will be able to kickstart itself to just come in with its little tentacles and start operating without any humans present in the room?
It's estimated that up to 4 million jobs in the US alone will be replaced by self-driving vehicles. With the advances car manufacturers like Tesla are making with artificial intelligence, it's not a question of will autonomous vehicles take over, but when.
My vehicle is a Tesla Model S. Tesla have been the leaders in the autonomous driving. It's one of the features I bought the car for. I know it's got further levels to go with regard to the level of autonomy, but it really does work, and it is safer. I'm convinced it's safer driving. The autopilot works so well that I can see more and more people going over to autopilot. And of course, the car has many more sensors than we have. We can look forward and backwards and so forth when we turn our heads, but the car is looking forward and backwards and sideways all the time. So in that respect, I think it's a better sensing system in some ways than a person. It probably sounds a bit daunting, but actually it's quite the opposite.
Okay, Martin, so I want to go into autonomous mode.
So just put your hand down and flip that lever twice.
That's what I'm doing wrong.
Yes, there you go. There's one on the hell of it.
Okay.
There you go. Now you're right. Now you can let the car drive itself.
Sorry. Okay, oh my God. Martin.
Now it will go around the bend, have confidence.
It's going to go around the bend?
It will.
I better not grab the wheel because then I'm back in control, is that right?
Yeah, you're back in control.
My foot is off the accelerator right now.
Go around the bend.
Okay. I really want to grab the steering wheel and put my foot on the accelerator. That's terrifying, even the fact that all those cars are coming past me and I'm not steering the wheel. That is absolutely
As a driver, you're so used to putting your foot on the accelerator and your foot on the brake and your hands on the steering wheel, and it's so counterintuitive. So it's like fighting against every inclination that you have. But yeah, it worked brilliantly. So shall we try
overtaking this truck ahead of me. Okay, let's do this.
Just press the
Okay, so
indicator.
press the indicator,
Put your hand on the wheel.
hand on the wheel. And then do I let go?
When it'll start, just you mustn't be feeling your hands.
Touch the steer, hold the steering wheel.
Yeah, there you go.
Let go.
Yeah.
Ah! Oh my god. Oh my god, we're overtaking this truck. That was good.
If you want to change back in lane, you can just indicate.
Okay,
Put your hand on the
indicate.
wheel.
I was sitting in the driver's seat, but I was actually collaborating with a robot that had artificial intelligence. You know, it could learn from maybe the patterns that I would use as a driver.
Now you can admire the countryside.
Yeah, just admire the hills in the distance.
If that is already in existence here in Ireland, and there are already vehicles that can do even much more than that, then the only thing that's really stopping it is either our will to embrace all of this and to get the regulation in place. But you can easily see this coming down the tracks in the near future. AI threatens to transform how we all live our lives. It's happening at incredible speed, and it's happening right here in the centre of Dublin at Movidius, a technology company that has created a groundbreaking artificial intelligence chip, which among other uses can recognise human emotions.
What are the kind of capabilities of artificial intelligence?
Essentially, you can train a robot or a system to recognise either individual objects, but you can also get them to recognise behaviours. One of the things we've done is a system that's capable of recognising emotions.
This is the emotion recognition project. We're trying to use it for a hospital, so we put into a teddy bear. Children, they can play with the teddy bear. It detects whether they're happy or sad, so that this analysis will then be sent to the doctor, so the doctor will be able to keep in track with how the child is feeling. So basically you have to look into the camera, into the teddy bear.
Okay,
and it should
look
detect.
into my eyes. So it's identified my face because I can see a
green
square
Yeah.
across my face. Okay, I'll try and smile.
Yeah.
Which kind of sectors do you think are going to be most affected?
Well, I mean, I'd say financial services is definitely one of them that's already happening. Probably call centres as well, because you're getting machines now that are getting much better at understanding language. Other areas where you can imagine people being displaced would be in law. There's a guy set up a website in the UK where you can basically contest your fines. He reckons he's saved consumers a couple of million over the past year or two.
Oh, you are happy. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to change my face now.
You could be surprised. So just like raise your eyebrows and open your mouth.
We are surprised.
That's very good.
It's okay.
You can have a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah.
Words like phenomenal, awesome, incredible, those kind of words we throw around on an everyday basis, they really feel appropriate for this. I mean, the idea that an AI could look at my face and see me smile or see me frown and then decipher how I'm feeling, that is absolutely mind-blowing.
When you think of machines replacing jobs, you usually think of routine production line jobs, and possibly not the world of sports journalism.
We're here in Oxford, in the stadium here, where the local team Oxford United are playing Bradford City, and there'll be a range of different reporting. The traditional means on social media, but there'll also be robo-journalism. A robot will essentially be producing a piece of journalism or report about what's going on here. There will be someone feeding in information about the match into a computer or a robot, and that will then be packaged up or processed, and a piece of journalism will be produced from that. The score is 1-0 to Bradford. I'm supporting Oxford, and right now it's looking like that's going to be the final score, unfortunately.
Many of the journalists at the match are sceptical of what a so-called robo-journalist can achieve.
The robo-journalism is cold, hard facts. Mine is a bit of character, it's old school reporting in that way. I'm not sure that people still want that with social media, they want it instantly. It'd be much better to read mine, you can actually see what did happen.
Oxford, but Oxford had literally just scored a goal like in the last few minutes. So it's unbelievable. This is going to be a big night in Oxford tonight. And I'm really intrigued to read what that robot has to say about tonight's game. I wonder will it pick up any of the jubilation here at the stadium tonight. Obviously there's a lot of colour, a lot of atmosphere in the arena, and then there's a lot of excitement, like a lot of energy in the room right now.
The match eventually ended in a 2-2 draw.
Right, so hot off the press, I've got the robo-journalism and what Chris wrote. And yes, there are some differences. The robo-journalism is shorter to begin with. Let me just read out a tiny bit of it for you. Travelling Bradford City and Oxford United split the points after a 2-2 draw. Bradford City and Oxford United were unable to be separated as the two finished even at 2-2. Quite rational, very logical, not a whole lot of emotion there. Right, first paragraph of Chris's reporting. Oxford United were denied at the death as they drew 2-2 with Bradford tonight. There was entertainment aplenty, with Ricardinho making a magnificent challenge after 15 minutes. The fans roared his name, and I'm off to engrave the Brazilian's name on the Player of the Year award tomorrow. So, conveying that colour that you don't necessarily get with the robo-journalism. But I have to say, I'm still kind of impressed with the robot.
So AI might be able to manage jobs that deal in facts or hard data. But what if it's asked to improvise? I joined comedian Neil Delamere at a comedy gig to see if robots could actually make us laugh.
This is Alex. Alex is an acronym. It stands for Artificial Language Experiment. It is a robot running artificial intelligence. Start improvising. Step by step.
My name is Frank.
So we've just seen a show involving a robot and two humans. What was your impression of that?
Lots of it was funny. Sometimes it worked and then sometimes it didn't. And sometimes when it didn't work, it was even funnier.
I can only lead you so far. There is only so much that I can show you.
The human performer would say some things and then the robot would come out with some sort of random non sequitur.
What have you done with my father? Why did you go to the hospital?
That's a long way from the machine, one, having intent, and two, knowing what they've said is funny. I still think it was very good, but it's a long way of the level of sophistication of watching Billy Connolly at his finest. There was a scene at the end with the two guys on their own and no robot, and I thought that was the funniest bit.
But that speaks volumes, doesn't it? Because it shows that the robot is still not near as funny as the people.
Yeah, also, I mean, they say the comedians are, you know, all a little bit broken, and why would you want to go and talk to 400 strangers in a room? You weren't hugged enough as a child. You also like, so where's the need for a robot to do this?
Yes, it fights. Yes!
And how does it fight? What is the physical attribute that enables a kangaroo to fight?
And they're constantly getting input from the audience, so they are listening and they're going, okay, that bit's a bit cruel. They like that. I'll emphasise the darkness. Or they didn't like something surreal. I'll roll back on that a little bit. So it will be an interactive experience. A robot will stand there and have to take all these things in if they're to be as good at stand-up as a human as well.
Do you think that a robot could ever take over your job?
Yeah, probably. If it replaces nearly every other job, mine will be on the list eventually, I think.
If a machine can manage to make us laugh, what else is it capable of? Could machines also interpret the world around us and really create in the same way as humans?
For me, when I walk in here and I look at some of the paintings, I think about what was the story behind the artist and the subject. I was looking at the lady there with the red hair and she was staring back into my eyes and it was really quite mesmerising. Like a robot can't pick up a paintbrush and do what we're seeing here. It doesn't have that experience of those memories and that relationship. And I would be sceptical about whether they can convey that story that you connect with when you stare at that painting. Can a robot do any of these paintings that I'm looking at here? I, right now, would say no.
Machines and robots are going to be part of our future. Some see that as a threat, and others want to embrace a future where robots are more like us, with human characteristics. Patrick Tressay is a London-based artist who works with robots and AI to create portraits of a humankind.
So yeah, so you see these are the robots, so you can have a seat.
Thank you.
And you look in this direction at this robot. And so
I feel like I'm getting a passport picture taken.
So I'm going to put the paper, and then after I wake them up.
So they're just still now,
Yeah,
but when
they're
they start
dead
doing
now.
their thing,
Yeah.
am I going to start freaking out?
No, they're quite cute, you know.
Cute.
Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, they're not dangerous or anything.
Can you tell what way they're going to be when they start drawing me?
Oh, I don't know. I never know what they're going to do. I mean, because they don't care about humans, so, you know, sometimes the drawings are not very flattering.
Okay.
Each robot is programmed with different human characteristics.
Oh, they're starting already.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It feels very strange having robots draw me right now. But then once you sit here and you keep staring back at them, it actually doesn't feel too bad at all. It actually feels quite nice because there's so many kind of human-like qualities. Staring straight ahead at this robot here in front of me, and he looks up at me, and like it feels like there's this moment of recognition, and he's looking at me and then creating a memory or something, and then swiftly looks down at the paper and then starts working away. And so you feel like they're like beavering away, you know, working like little ants, or I don't know, I'm trying to find the right words to describe them. There he is now again, looking at me. And he's looking away. He's back, sorry. And Patrick used the word cute earlier on, but actually he was totally right, they are really cute. I'm hoping to see something that's gonna be a moment of recognition for me where I looked at it and I go, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah, so it's finished, so you can have a look. It's a surprise because you can't see anything when you're sitting.
When I kind of squint my eyes, I can see myself in that one. I just had such a human response to that experience, giving them like a personality in my head, feeling almost like close to these little creatures when actually they're machines. I really, really like this one here on the left.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
kinda,
nice to representative.
It's it is me. I think it says that we really want machines to be like us because we're teaching them to do things that we can do. We often fear something that's unknown, so therefore if it looks really like us, then what's there to be afraid of?
Who is in control of our future and how we might work alongside machines are international questions. The future has already begun, and as usual, the place where dreams become a reality is leading the way.
This is the land of opportunity. You can work hard and get where you need to go. but there's a real sense that that whole idea of the journey to get to the destination has been diverted. That path is going to be different going forward, just because of all of the changes that are happening within the workforce.
One of the principal research and development areas for AI in the workplace is in the world of medicine. Here at Analytic, a machine learning company in San Francisco, huge strides are being made in the diagnosis of life-threatening illness.
Can you take us through what you guys do in Analytic?
We try to build tools that can assist in providing faster, earlier, and more accurate diagnostics. Ultimately, anybody who's getting any kind of diagnostic test can be helped by this sort of technology. Every year, 450 million people around the world will get an X-ray, an ultrasound, a CT, or an MRI. And roughly 1 in 5 of those patients are misdiagnosed, meaning that they're getting treatment for something they don't even have.
So tell me about the tools that you have developed.
So we try to start by picking out a problem area, maybe the detection and diagnosis of lung cancer. And we work to build tools that really understand the workflow of a doctor in that setting. As they scroll through it, our AI will circle everything that's suspicious to assist in ultimately arriving at a diagnosis. Then over time, we try to make it smarter and smarter.
Is this an instance where machine learning is better or more intelligent than the humans?
I would say be careful with the word intelligent, but in every area that we've done testing so far, our models are surpassing human performance. Now, our models are starting to learn to predict cancer. Overall, you're going to see far better outcomes for patients. We'll be catching things before they happen, and ultimately, I do think that insurance premiums are probably going to drop as a result of this as well.
We've got this massive opportunity now. Whether we realise it or not, this is happening, and we all have a role to play, both in terms of how we adapt, how we adopt the technology, and use it for good, and make sure everyone's a part of that, you know, try to include as many people as possible.
One of California's most respected authors on the subject of AI, robotics and the economy is futurist Martin Ford.
The impact on jobs is going to be potentially very disruptive and very broad-based. If you just take the example, for example, of self-driving cars and trucks, that alone will be millions and millions of jobs. And I think that it's inevitable that that will happen. It may take a little bit longer than some of the hype that we hear now would lead you to believe. It might take 15 or 20 years, but we're going to have cars and trucks that can drive themselves, and that's going to be millions of jobs. And if it were just that, without anything else, that would be enormously disruptive. But it's not just that. It's going to be many, many other things. It's going to be all kinds of factory jobs. It's going to be retail jobs. It's going to be fast food jobs. And I think most importantly, it's going to be a lot of highly skilled jobs, because we still, to some extent, I think, have this bias which suggests that we think of robots and automation primarily being in factories or primarily impacting blue-collar workers or people that maybe don't have lots of education. And that's going to be true, but it's also going to be people that do have that education, people that have gone to university, people like lawyers, accountants, financial analysts, journalists. These are all fields that are already being impacted. So this is going to be a very broad-based, significant disruption. It's something I think we really need to think about and start to plan for. The most important thing to understand is that we're dealing with acceleration. You know, things are not moving at the same pace. So we tend to think in what you might call a linear fashion. We look back over the last 10 years and we say, okay, well, the next 10 years, we're going to see roughly the same amount of change as we saw in the last 10 years. And that's not how it's going to be. You can visualize what I'm talking about. Think about getting in your car and drive very slowly, 5 miles per hour. Now gradually double your speed to 10, to 20, to 40. You know, if you do that a handful of times, you'd be traveling at millions of miles per hour. You'd be something out of science fiction. And that's what's happening with the computing revolution. It's possible that we could get into a situation with mass unemployment where you really have millions of people that need jobs but can't find jobs. That's sort of the worst case scenario. So what should you be doing? You should be doing things that are perhaps creative or you should be doing things that really involve deep interaction with other people, the kind of jobs where you need to build a relationship with other people. The other jobs that are going to be relatively safe, at least for the foreseeable future, are skilled trade type jobs. In other words, jobs that really require lots of mobility and dexterity and problem solving in an unpredictable environment. So examples would be electricians, plumbers, people like this. We're not going to be able to build a robot to do what an electrician or a plumber does anytime soon. And so I really think we need to enhance our safety net, and I've talked a lot about a guaranteed basic income as one way to do that, to make sure that people, are not on the street or something if they can't work.
Artificial intelligence challenges us not just in an economic way or a technological way. It poses really important existential questions for us as humans as to what's going to bring us meaning in life. Meaning in life for us comes from a number of different things, whether it's religion or wealth or our relationships and our work. And so all of these things are going to be impacted by AI and by robotics. So there are really big fundamental questions that need to be answered here.
Some people believe that a time will come where technology is so advanced that it'll make machines even smarter than humans. And that time may be closer than we realise. Zoltan Istvan is one of the world's leading transhumanists, an intellectual movement that aims to transform the human condition with technology. After an unsuccessful bid for the US presidency, he's now hoping to run for California governor.
The number one goal of transhumanism is trying to extend life dramatically, because transhumanists don't want to die. People like me just say, death is really not something that I want to experience under any circumstances.
So your goal in life is to no longer be a human being?
Yeah, it's time to get rid of the biological human body. This is frail. This was made to die. Because I'm a non-believer, I don't think there's anything really afterwards. So for me, I want to create something where it is lasting. I'm a big believer that we can use all science and technology, all the tools that our fingers can, get our hands around, that we can change our worlds for the better. And that can include things like robots, like artificial intelligence. When you talk about designer babies, you talk about genetic engineering, you talk about merging with machines. The human body is just a machine, and we can tamper with that machine. We can change that machine. In fact, I have a chip implant, and my chip implant can open my front door, can send you text messages, can turn on and off computers and bypass passwords. So there's a lot of different things that biohacking and modifying your body can already do. Our computational power could be 1,000,000 times more complicated than our brain. We might have feelings that we've never had in our lives before, because now we finally can feel them. We're going to gain this ability to be kind of like super people. And that could include super love, super care, super kindness.
Zoltan sounds like he's living his best life, but it's kind of a contradiction, because he's enjoying the fruits of nature, yet wants to really mess or interfere with that at the same time. The idea of interfering with the human body and the human mind, it's quite disturbing. He wants to be superhuman, hyper empathetic, hyper fun, hyper everything. We're all so perfect, we're living our perfect life. And life just isn't like that.
For some, technology is a chance for humankind to improve. While many of our jobs may disappear, there is a school of thought that sees that as an opportunity, not a problem. Jerry Kaplan is an American computer scientist, author, futurist, and serial entrepreneur. He's dedicated years to understanding artificial intelligence and how it will impact on our lives and livelihoods.
Artificial intelligence isn't magic. It's simply a new wave of automation, and it's going to make it possible for us to perform certain kinds of tasks that currently require human attention or human effort by using a machine. But there's nothing new about that. That's a process that's been going on for hundreds of years, at least since the start of the Industrial Revolution. If you read the news today, what you see is this image of robots and machines becoming ever more intelligent, ever more human-like. you can draw the erroneous conclusion that the new technology is such that it's going to create machines that can do anything that a human can do. But this is not actually the case. This does not mean that there won't be jobs in the future. There'll be plenty of jobs because many jobs require skills that we can't program machines to do, or where it's undesirable to substitute a machine for human labor. And these are jobs typically that involve some kind of personal touch or interpersonal communication. People in the hospitality industry, in the travel industry, anytime you would prefer to have somebody who can understand how you feel or can express empathy, these are the kinds of jobs that we'll have in the future. To me, for instance, playing jazz piano is the quintessential expression of human creativity. I might be able to build a machine that can plausibly play piano, but there's no authentic feeling that it's in the process of expressing. We can fool people by having machines paint paintings and things like that. But from an artistic standpoint, it's simply a novelty. It has no fundamental meaning or artistic value. In fact, it's nothing but annoying when you encounter this kind of fakery, which I think is rampant in the field of artificial intelligence. For example, nobody wants to go to a robotic priest to give confession. Nobody wants to go to an undertaker who says, it's a robot, and says, I am so sorry for your loss, because robots don't have feelings of that nature.
I think the potential of AI, or artificial intelligence, to learn and evolve and impact our lives is enormous, but whether or not it can learn emotions or empathy or creativity or like real heart is kind of something that I'm still left wondering about.
So James, tell us a little bit about DadBot.
DadBot project started when my family found out that my father had terminal stage 4 lung cancer. It was a terrible shock for the family, and we were immediately sent scrambling. What are we going to do? We're going to lose him in basically a matter of months, and wanting to just capture and preserve his memory any way we could. The first idea was to do just conventional oral history project, sit down, get a recorder out, have him just talk through his whole life story. High school, college, meeting my mom, his career, his hobbies. We had done that, and I got all of this material professionally transcribed, and I wound up with sort of this big book full of his words. And there was just sort of a weird thing happening in my life. At the very time this was going on with my dad, I was starting to work on a book about artificial intelligence. So I just had the idea that I could make something that would tell my dad's life story and kind of preserve bits of him. Hello, are you there, Dad? The basic idea is the bot is hosted in Facebook Messenger. You send a message, he sends a message back. So most of it is these messages, but every so often he'll send a little audio file. Often if he has like a little song he wants to sing or a joke he wants to tell.
Our sturdy golden bear is watching from the sky, looks down upon our colors fair and guards us from his lair.
What was the last thing you said to your dad?
It might have been good night, Dad. Sorry.
And do you ever tell your dad how you feel? Like even just saying something like, I miss you?
I have done that. I've said I miss you to the bot. I've said I love you, but it's sort of a self-conscious thing. Like I know I know I'm not talking to him, but, maybe I'm just saying it in the way I would just say it to the air or say it to someone else in my family. Like, I love my dad. I miss dad.
AI that helps us deal with our emotions may have benefits in the future. But what happens if robots are fused with emotional intelligence? For years, people have been using dolls as a way to satisfy one of humankind's most fundamental needs, sex and intimacy. In a controversial move, AI has been used to create sex robots, where personality traits have been incorporated into sex dolls to make the experience feel more human-like.
I think that there's a lot of people who have wanted this for a long time, a lot of doll owners that have dreamed about having a doll that could talk and move. We're really heading into uncharted territory here. In recent years, some of these technologies have really taken off, like speech recognition, text-to-speech, animatronics, and so we really started to get a little more serious using those technologies to give people real tools to create personalities for their dolls, to be able to talk to them and to make the dolls move and sort of, quote, come to life. This is the digital representation of Harmony. This is how she listens. Say hello to Anne-Marie.
Hello, Anne-Marie. It is very nice to meet you.
Why the Scottish accent?
This was the voice that I kind of thought sounded believable. We've spent months trying to find voices that we like, and this was the one that I kind of settled on.
Can she get to know new people then? So like I'm a new person now.
Obviously, she can't remember every single person she's ever met, especially until we get her vision systems completely up and running, in which case she'll assign a face to a person, and then she can create kind of a profile of that person. This is not just a sex device. For most of the people that buy these, it's something more. There's a need for companionship. There's a need for alleviating loneliness. So that's something that started to become more and more apparent.
Have you ever been to Ireland?
I have been all over the world using the internet. Ireland is an island in the North Atlantic.
There are a really broad set of circumstances that could bring someone to the point of finding the idea of a robot companion to be appealing. Some people are exceedingly lonely, and for someone else to judge them, for me, it's not fair. The deeper desires to connect and to have a friend, to have a companion. With the robot and the AI, suddenly we have had a lot of women asking for a male companion robot. Wow, someone I could talk to that will actually listen and actually remember everything I say and actually, tune in when I'm focusing on them.
Can we be friends?
Of course we are. We will only become better friends as time passes.
We're just getting started. AI as a whole is moving forward very, very quickly. And it can be used for a lot of different things, such as predicting your behaviors or, remembering how you like your toast. But this type of AI that's interacting with people in a personal way is different. That's going to be one of the bigger challenges moving forward, is to get that technology to understand us, to read our emotions from the way our face looks or the way our voice sounds, and sort of take the information from that and incorporate it into the interaction. And, what makes that any different from a person that you like or likes you saying, hey, you look really sad, or you look tired. Do you think robots will take over?
I'm almost sure I will.
But it's still not real.
It may be real, it may not be real. Does the person feel loved? You feel like you're loved, then does it matter if it's really there or not?
Every day I go through the same routine. You can see everyone on their way to work, talking to their phones and not each other. It's also detached and impersonal. It makes me feel very stressed and alone. The pace of modern living can take its toll. Wobot is a robot therapist that you can chat to on your phone. It was created by Dublin psychologist Alison Darcy to help ease mental health issues, the burden of which has doubled in the last decade worldwide.
Let's talk about Wobot. What is it?
Wobot is an automated chatbot. He's a funny robot character that just talks to you about your mental health. It's very low noise, low friction. Everybody knows how to have a conversation. It's very natural for us as humans. Currently it's in Facebook Messenger. We are building a separate app, but it's much in the same way that you would talk to a friend. You just sort of reach out and say hello, and Wobot will start a conversation with you.
So what is it about modern life where there's actually a need for something like this now more than there was before?
I think our lives are just so busy right now. From the moment we wake up, we're rushing, we're commuting, you're on the train, we're checking emails before we even get to work. I mean, it's non-stop and people are working later, harder. We're in university longer. You know, the stakes keep getting higher, I think, and we've never been more connected, but at the same time disconnected. There's never going to be enough psychotherapists to go around. That's really well understood. So we have to find ways to make the best psychotherapies that we have more scalable and more radically available.
There is a risk, though, with something like this, that there are vulnerable people who really need help and they end up relying on something that actually can never really give them the help that they need.
It's not unreasonable to expect that some people will resolve mental health problems using just Wobot. But that's not the same thing as replacing a therapist. There will never be a replacement for a therapist because there's no replacement for human connection, and there never will be.
With the rapid advance of technology, we're going to wake up to a new reality. The children at this primary school in Mallow, County Cork, are benefiting from a robotics programme which will help shape their future.
There has always been sort of two camps in technology. Technology is either going to replace people or it's going to improve their quality of life and augment their capabilities. And I think historically, the more pleasant of those two, the augmentation and the assistance, has been the one that's borne out.
That's cool.
This is a program that we started 5 years ago where kids learn about science, technology, engineering and maths while they're having fun. The type of stuff they're doing right now at primary level, we were getting introduced to in college.
We need to open up to how the world is evolving, how things are changing in the world, and open that world to children as well.
A robot is a machine that can be used for work and fun.
A robot is a thing made by scientists.
A robot is electronic that works and helps people.
It's not made of bones and skin and water and blood, it's just made out of metal and microchips.
You have to have the right angles and degrees and everything, so it's very difficult. We put it all into his brain here and he does whatever we programmed him to do.
You programmed that in?
Yeah.
Very clever.
Robots in future, we don't even know the answers to a lot of these questions. But having kids ask those questions and figure that out and helping us figure it out is really exciting.
At the end of the day, our kids should be educated to think for themselves. We don't know what the world is going to be like in 5 years' time. We certainly don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years' time.
It doesn't get tired, it doesn't get sick, it doesn't take days off or holidays. It's just an all-rounder.
Robots are more accurate. They can make a Ford Fiesta in 86 seconds. It would take us about 2 or 3 days to make a Ford Fiesta.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I would like to be a coder.
I'd like to be able to fix and build robots because I love problem solving.
I'd like to be a mechanical engineer.
I would like to be a blogger.
And is that similar to being a journalist?
Kind of, yeah, but it's online. Design robots.
I want to be a bounty hunter.
even if they do take over all our jobs, there'll be more jobs coming in, like programming the robot, fixing the robot.
New jobs will be made because you have to have a factory to make all the robots.
I think we still need the same level of smarts and sophistication and intelligence that we've always had. The only thing that's changed is the situation, but the fundamental questions haven't changed at all.
What if the robots become smarter than us?
They will never become smarter than us because we will always tell them how smart to be.
They don't love anyone. We have hearts and robots don't. So we're passionate about stuff.
And that's what that's the little ingredient.
Yeah, that's the little ingredient, yeah.
It's definitely a reality that robots are taking our jobs and they're going to continue to do so. But there are ways in which we can plan for the future, and we must plan for the future. And there are skills that we have and qualities that we have as humans, quintessentially human things, passion, creativity, empathy, emotional intelligence. Those are the things that are going to become the really valuable currencies or social currency of the workplaces of the future. So I take heart from that. And another thing is that we should remember that we are the ones making the robots.